Chantel Hayden with the Nocturnal, and today I am sitting down with a Houston legend, Bun B. Bun, how are you this morning? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. It's a good day. I'm actually in New York City today on promo, so it's a good day.
Are you feeling the cold? You know, it's starting to get kind of chilly up there.
Yesterday was a little chilly in the morning, I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah,
but I came prepared.
yeah.
I got my hoodies and whatnot, so I came prepared.
So I want to jump right in. We have to talk about your debut solo album, Trill. You recently partnered with Crown Royal to do Trill Unplugged, which was like a one night only special intimate performance in Houston to celebrate the album's 20th anniversary. And you've been very like transparent about the things that you were going through during the making of that album. And you've mentioned how therapeutic it was for you. How did revisiting that body of work 2 decades later feel for you in that moment? Like, what kind of emotions did it stir up for you?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for your time, Chantel. I can't lie. Like it was a very creating this album was cathartic for me, right? Because we were going through a lot of things in that moment, but we didn't have the time or honestly a good reason to feel sorry for ourselves about it because of what Pimp had to endure.
Yeah,
We understood was worse than what we did. So, but to be fair, we took a lot of direction from Pimp's input, on things, specifically with music. And so this is my first time having to construct an album without him. So again, it was a lot of those ones were very emotional, specifically writing and recording the story. But we had a great team of people that helped me construct this project, that helped me put this album together. And that team is still together. The engineer that recorded it helped me re-record some of those songs and help mix them down to a performance aspect. Same management, same. I brought my hype man back after a couple of years because he ended up going into a new job. So I was like, yo, we're going back to '05. So we putting the band back together. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
I was able to surround myself with the same people, my wife and everybody, the same people that surrounded me throughout the course of creating this album and helped me keep a sane mind and help me stay focused. And so not only was it good to go back and celebrate it, yes, it did bring up some old feelings, you know what I'm saying? But in a good way, in a good way. It's like, wow, look how young I
right.
sounded. Look, right? Look how unsure I
Yeah,
seem in this moment, right? But I was confident. You're right. I was confident that we were doing the right thing. And reflecting after 20 years later and having the album still be appreciated and held in high regard, I think we did everything to the best of our ability, and people received it the way we wanted them to. And 20 years later, they're still streaming, they're still listening to this album. And on the 18th of October, they came out and we all celebrated it together with the partnership of Crown, creating the room and the space, a safe space for us to feel confident that we could execute what we needed to do. I believe the show came off just as we wanted it to.
yeah. Honestly, I love that it can still feel so important for you. I feel like a lot of times maybe artists will look back at their early work or their debut work and they might, cringe or they might feel like it wasn't really who they are. But I love that it was 100% authentically you and you can look back on it and know that,
So as far as UGK's first album, that's cringe, right? Like some of that
really?
stuff, yeah, to me, because you have to
Oh,
understand, there are several songs on that album that were reproduced by the record company. So there are songs on that album that are nowhere near the vision of what Pimp and I had for those songs. They didn't want to pay for the samples. So because of that, we had a clause in our contract that allowed the record company to reproduce records if they didn't want to pay for the sample. And so I look back at those records and they're not really true representations of who and Pimp and I were at the time.
yeah.
Now, if we look to Trill, right, at this point, it's 2005. I've been in the industry for over, I'd say 13, 14 years now. So as an artist, I'm matured. I understand more about creating music. I know more about messaging, and I know more about how to construct a project and a body of work. That being said, I still had other things that affected the creative process because it was new. The circumstances it was recorded under, all of that came into play.
Yeah.
But we can look back and be proud of what we did, because at what looks and seemed like our lowest moment, we came out shining. You know what I'm saying? We understood the assignment, we understood what was necessary, what was needed to be done in the moment, and we executed it. And I'm proud of it. 20 years later, looking back, I'm very proud of what we accomplished.
Yeah. And I know you said earlier you were super excited to bring back all the OGs, get the band back together to have this moment. And Crown Royal has been like played a really big part in celebrating major milestones with you over the years.
Yes.
You partner with them at the Houston Rodeo, as we all know. You guys did like a Purple Label collaboration earlier this year, and now Trill Unplugged. So, what keeps you coming back? Do you just really love whiskey?
No, I mean, look, well, to be fair, yes, I do. That purple bag has I have a lot of memories tied into that purple and
Right?
gold bag,
Yeah.
to be sure. But no, there's a level of comfort that comes from not having to worry about certain aspects. I'm a micromanager, so if allowed, right, and if the situation calls, I'm going to try to worry and nitpick about every single little thing. The
Yeah.
beauty about collaborating with Crown is that I don't have to worry about that. We've done this for several years. They understand my intention. They understand the way that I want to connect to the community. And they know what the space should feel like and look like. So that stuff I don't have to worry about. I could just show up and do what I need to do. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beautiful thing about this. It's important for me to have time to concentrate on the music, to focus on the music, to lock in on the presentation, and make sure that we're presenting the best version of this project and interacting with the crowd in the best way possible. And it's very hard to do that type of stuff if you have to worry about all this different minutia, right? And because of that partnership, it allows me to not have to worry about how the room is dressed, how the room is presented, you know what I'm saying, the vibes in the space, the decoration. All of these things are things that Crown happily comes in and supplies for us. And then they get out the way and allow us to have a performance. They already know I'm going to toe the company line. They already know I'm going to say what I need to say. And I already know that they're going to do what they need to do. So there's a level of expectation from both of our sides that, when we first started, we weren't really sure. But at this point, it's old hat now. All
Hmm.
right. They know exactly what it is we want to do. They know exactly who we're speaking to in the city, and they know exactly what we need to make it work. So once we bring them in, 45%, 50% of the show, I don't have to worry about it
Worry
anymore.
about, yeah.
I can just lock in with the band, get these lyrics and vocals together, make sure I'm hitting my cues, and give people the best show.
Yeah. Listen, I completely understand the urge to want to micromanage everything. I do that often too. I sometimes have to remind myself to pull back a little. But I get
Right.
it, you're an artist and you serious about your shit. So
Yes, absolutely. So it's good to have partners that understand that and know where my mind should be, what I should be focused on. And at this point, they already know. You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? They get with my production team, they bring everything that they need to bring into the space, they afford everything that we need to have in the space, and then they get out the way and let us have a great
do your
performance.
thing. Yeah. I actually want to talk about Mona Leah real quick because you
Absolutely.
performed at her wedding last month.
Hmm.
And now you are on the OG mix of her song We On That, which is like a hometown link up with you, Lil Kiki,
Kiki.
and Paul Wall. Can I just say, y'all slid? Like, y'all went so crazy on this. I'm like, this is what I needed. Like, the way y'all wrote the beat, it was perfect. Chef Kiss. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
No notes. But you seem to have a very natural connection with Mona Leo. What made you, want to show up for her in that way, both personally and musically?
We've been able to build a great relationship. My wife was a big fan of Mona Leo's,
Oh
and she
wow.
was like, "Y'all need to figure out how to do some music together because this little girl is hot." And we connected. We put her on my new album with Corey Mo, Waymo Trill. She's on a song called "I Can't Lie" with me and Scotty ATL. She's an amazing talent.
Mhm.
Um, we've been able to build a great relationship, and her father is a longtime fan and supporter of mine. He's around my age as well, so we, beyond just her, like the family, we click, we link up. But I've always been a big supporter of up and coming talent. Mona Leo was the perfect person to put a cosign on and give support to lift up. She's really, really focused on what she needs to be focused on
Yeah.
for her career. She's doing everything she needs to do as an artist to perpetuate things and propel herself into a higher stratosphere. But she's also at the same time very focused on family. Her and her husband are both artists.
Yeah.
But they try to keep the family dynamic as tight as possible. And they're doing a great job of managing music and family. and I've had to do that for many years now.
Yeah.
So, initially we connect through music, but now I try to make sure I'm available for the other things that tend to come up in an artist's life, you
Yeah.
know. So, but I was so happy to go to the wedding. I was invited, and I called the coordinator and I said, "Hey, do you think they would mind if I perform?" She was like, "No, I think they'd love it." I was like, "Okay, well, I'll do that, but then I can't come to the wedding,
Oh,
right?
okay, I see.
Because it would kill the surprise."
Yes, yes,
So so when I arrived, she was like, "Oh my God, she's been asking me all day, where's Bun? Bun said he was coming. Have you seen him? Did you talk to him?" So she wasn't sure that I was even going to show up to
yeah.
the wedding. And then I popped out during the reception.
I love that. That's so sweet. Wow.
I was happy to do it for them. They're a really sweet couple, for real.
You've spoken before about an early studio encounter between you, Pimp C, and D'Angelo, who sadly passed away
Yes.
recently. And Pimp C and D'Angelo were two artists who were in two completely different worlds musically, but they both shared an immense love for music. They both, played instruments, and they both really loved the craft. What stuck with you the most from that encounter? And did you and D'Angelo share any creative connection as well?
Well, what happened was we were in the studio in New York. We were actually here in New York at Battery Studios. We were recording. I was in the booth. Pimp was at the board. And while I'm in there, I see a guy come in. He's got some braids. He's got a little hoodie on or whatever. Now I don't recognize him from anywhere. And
Yeah.
he looks like, what is this guy doing? He looked kind of thuggish. Let's just keep it. Yeah, there's no reason to lie on the dead. I was like, who is this dude in this studio, right?
Yeah.
But he and Pimp are talking, and I'm trying to talk, but they can't hear me because the track isn't rolling, so the mic isn't on. So I'm like, man, to hell with all this. So I go in the studio and I walk in and I know I'm looking a certain way, right? So Pimp turns to me, he's like, man, Bun B, this is D'Angelo, this the brown sugar dude. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh, what's up? What's up? He say, man, this dude just told me he did his whole album on the board that I'm using, on this machine that I'm using. He doing all kind of stuff I ain't never did with this machine. I might need to go back and read the manual
Look,
because
yeah,
I ain't using this thing right. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? But he was so cool, so down to earth. And keep in mind, this was before any of the success had really kicked in. Brown Sugar was the single that was out. He hadn't gone to Lady or any of these other songs that would eventually make him immensely famous. He was just another artist, meeting artists, trying to say what's up. He knew who we were. He was aware. He was a fan of the group. And it was really nice to meet and talk to him in that moment and then just kind of sit back and watch his career take off like a rocket.
Hmm.
He was immensely talented. But like some of us, he battled against a demon or two. And sometimes it's hard to win those battles, but by the grace of God, he overcame a
Yes.
lot of those things that were holding him back, only to be presented with another
Another
challenge.
one.
This dude was one of our best. He really was one of our best writers, producers, singers, performers, and deep thinkers. I mean, if you listen to a lot of the music that he made, they were deeply thoughtful and came from the heart. And I'm glad that we were able to have him for as long as we did, and to have his body of work still available to us right now. As he's an immense loss, and I send my condolences to his son, his family, and his loved ones. God bless his son for having to lose his mother and his father in a
Amen.
calendar year, right? Like, I couldn't imagine that. So we should all be praying for him and trying to keep him lifted up and reminding him of the level of greatness, which I'm sure he understands, the level of greatness that he was born from, considering his mother, Angie Stone, and his father, D'Angelo. So, we definitely hope this brother rests in paradise.
Yes. And I love that you had that memory. And thank you so much for sharing that with me. I really
No worries.
appreciate it.
No worries.
Real quick, I do want to go back. You have a new album coming out next month.
Yes.
Ramo Trill. What can you tell me about that?
So this is the second album from myself and Corey Mo. First album was called Motrill. So I figured when we did another album, I didn't want to do Motrill 2 or another, type
Yeah.
thing. I was like, let's say since we're trying to make a better album than we did before, let's say this one is way Motrill. Because when we listen to it, it's actually way Motrill than the first one. And the first one was definitely Trill.
Trill. Yeah. Okay.